Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dr. Cammy Goes Keto, where I'm transitioning from a standard American diet to a ketogenic, low carb, healthy fat diet. And I've been doing really well. And some parts of the days are not easy. And I wanted to report that today I am day 79 of no sugar, flour, or caffeine. And God, I miss the caffeine. I miss the coffee. I miss a cup of coffee. And I'm day 86 of no binging. So can you believe that? In 4 days, I'll be 90 days no binging. I'm just really, really thrilled about that. I am on Zepbound. It's helping me a lot. I can tell. It's helping me with appetite. It's helping me with cravings, and it's helping me with the negative chatter that goes on in the back of your brain. And Mike Collins and I have talked about this on the videos that we're doing together. Sorry, my cat wants to get in and out of my cabinets, so I'm going to open those up. And so I wanted to talk today about affirmations, because in the morning I say my affirmations, and on the top of my sheet here, I wrote Neuroscience, redirecting internal dialogue. And so I wanted to hopefully get some information to you guys today that's going to talk about the neuroscience behind affirmations and how they're not just something that you say to make yourself feel good. They're actually working on different parts of your brain and rewiring some of your activity. So the ones that I say in the morning, these are some affirmations that I just wanted to give you some examples that I use through Mike Collins's work. I got these from him, and I like these affirmations. And the first one says, I am in the process of making positive changes in all areas of my life. The second one says, I have unlimited potential. Only good lies before me. The third one says, I am proud of myself. And this one really speaks a lot to me when I say that to myself, because I'm really good at finding things that are wrong and, nitpicking and trying to be a perfectionist and those kinds of things. So all of us have a lot of things for us to be proud of. 4, I am excited about the person I am becoming. 5, I trust myself. And I also added on this, and the universe. I trust myself and the universe. 6, I love myself exactly as I am. I no longer wait to be perfect in order to love myself. And the last one, I believe in my ability to do anything I set my mind to. So those are the ones that from Mike Collins's book, the sugar detox book that he wrote. And I'm going to give you some examples of some other ones a little bit later on in the video, but those are what I wanted you to be aware of. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about was what negative self-talk does into our brain. So when we have a negative thought that comes into our mind, the first thing that happens is that the amygdala is turned on. And the amygdala is like where our threat center is located. And then the next thing that happens is when the threat center is turned on, cortisol and stress hormones go up. And so that creates stress in our body. And then what happens next is that the prefrontal cortex shuts down. So where we have things like discipline, planning, self-control, all of those things, that prefrontal cortex immediately shuts down. And so you can see how this creates a situation where it's not going to be helpful for us to be, you know, dealing with a craving or, trying to be successful in a stressful situation. So, the other thing that it does is it reinforces an identity-based limitation. So the brain stops hearing it as a thought and will start to think of it as an I am. Like when you'll have a negative thought, like one of the ones that I'll come up with is, I'm a loser. And you're already just naming yourself as and that's an identity based, right? Limitation. And that's what, negative thoughts will come up in your mind. Like you didn't handle that appropriately. You didn't do that right. And then the identity base will come in, I'm a loser. So that's what happens when you have these negative thoughts and they are going on in certain parts of your brain. And we definitely know that this is happening. So when you have an affirmation, when you're doing an effective affirmation, what do they do for us? Well, those effective affirmations will engage the prefrontal cortex in your brain, reduces limbic reactivity that's going on in the brain. It strengthens your identity-based neural pathways that are positive, right? So when we have things that we're saying that are positive, and I'm going to go over some examples here, it will reinstate identity-based positive practices, and it increases calm and focus and follow through. So instead of dealing with, problems with discipline or problems with planning or things like that, that the negative thoughts will do, it creates a calm, it creates your ability to have some discipline and to focus and to follow through. So, what are some examples of some affirmations? So, my lovely friend Chat gave me some examples of some affirmations, and I'm going to read them here. These are neuroscience aligned affirmations, and there's a handout that I'm going to put in the description of the YouTube channel and in my comment section that's called the Neuroscience of Positive Affirmations. And you can pull up this PDF and look at it because it's a summary of kind of what I'm talking about now. So, neuroscience aligned affirmations. I am someone who keeps promises to myself. I act from intention, not impulse. I can tolerate discomfort and remain calm. I like that one. I am building discipline one decision at a time. I like that one too, because that implies consistency, right? Over time. But you only have to build discipline one decision at a time. I trust myself to pause and choose wisely. I am practicing consistency today. I return to focus quickly when I drift. So those are some positive affirmations. And I think it is important for you to use I statements in these because I've heard some people talk about you statements. But when you say I am, that immediately goes to your medial prefrontal cortex. And that area is responsible for like self identity and where your values are and long term behavior patterns. So I think, and I always feel better when I use I statements. So that's the way that I have them worded. And that's the way that Chat GPT worded them too. So from a neuroscience perspective, using those I statements, they are processed as truth and claims in our body. And they integrate more deeply into the identity networks that are, giving us identity, which makes sense as you're saying to yourself, I am such and such, as opposed to you are. And they are more likely to influence behavior when you're under stress too. So that's important too. And so I'm just really glad that I'm bringing the idea of affirmations up in my YouTube channel because they're really, really important to have success in anything in life. And especially like for me, when I'm dealing with this food, and I enjoy talking about things where I go and do some research and reading about things before I share with you so that I learn also in that process. So I just want to thank you for being my audience and for helping me learn, about these things. So how do you practice these affirmations daily? There's 4 things that you need to do. You need to notice, the first thing you need to do is notice a negative thought without judgment. And then the second thing you need to do is interrupt it. So you can say out loud, that thought is not helpful. And I think, especially because I tend to have my negative thoughts a little more when I'm by myself and alone, like in the car driving or at home or, so it would be okay. It would be totally appropriate to say, oh, that negative thought is not helpful. And then you replace it with an identity based affirmation, which are the ones that we just talked about. I trust myself to pause and choose wisely. I can tolerate this discomfort I'm having and remain calm. I think that's a good one there. And then the fourth thing that you do is you repeat consistently these positive affirmations, especially under stress. So the way that is what I would recommend to do is that when you look at the handout and you look at these positive affirmations, you choose 2 or 3 of them that you're going to say consistently. And so out of the list, you can choose 2 or 3, or you can make your own. And, maybe even just 2 affirmations or something that, you can say. And I trust myself is one that I really like because it's easy. It's only 3 words and it's helping me learn to trust myself because I very often don't trust myself. I don't trust the universe. Sometimes I have fear. And so, saying that I trust myself is easy because then you can just add on to it, right? I trust myself to make the right decision now. I trust myself to be able to calm myself down, those kinds of things. So, yeah, that's just kind of it. I wanted to just give you a brief thing about affirmations. And Nikki is not here this week. She is on vacation. And so I missed Motivation Monday yesterday. And so I promised myself that I would get Motivation Monday video about affirmations posted today on Tuesday, and it's 8:30 at night. So thanks for being patient with me and for allowing me to create another video for you to learn about affirmations. And next time, what we're going to talk about is why affirmations fail under stress and how you can regulate your nervous system so that you can get yourself calm in a way to manage and appreciate your affirmations better. So I'm thinking that maybe Nikki and I could work on that next time. All right. I hope you liked my little Band-Aid if you're watching that is on my little cheek today. I went to the dermatologist and had some work done. And I had a little precancer on my nose. It was very, very early precancer, like acanthatosis. There was a name for it. He said, start with an A, acanthotic, I think is what my girlfriend, the dermatologist, called it. So I just encourage you. It's a very common place to have it. All he had to do was just freeze it off and that's it. That's the end of it. I won't have to do anything else probably because I got in there so early. So please, if you have any lesions on your nose, this one was red. It was a little bit irregular and rough. And that's how they'll feel. And it also sometimes had a little bit of numbness or tingling around it. So just an FYI. All right, everybody, happy holidays and stay safe and have a wonderful new year. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.